Can we turn these lights off? We can get better here if we can just turn the lights off. Or, yeah, that would be good. Nothing compacted with nothing, with enough force as to make nothing violently explode. These two would be nice.
Stage lights.
Stage lights. Nothing became hydrogen shooting out from the center, parts of which suddenly stopped and started whirling in a circle. The whirling hydrogen pushed itself together until it formed a star big enough to exert a gravitational pull. One of these stars whirled so fast as to throw off a piece of material that became our Earth. Then suddenly, about 1 billion years ago, in an atmosphere void of oxygen and a sea bombarded by 100,000 times the amount of ultraviolet radiation seen today, a complex, self-replicating cell assembled itself and eventually became Einstein. The likelihood of the spontaneous formation of life from inanimate matter is 1 to a number of 40,000 digits after it. It is big enough to bury Darwin and the whole theory of evolution. There was no primeval soup, neither on this planet nor on any other, and if the beginnings of life were not random, they must therefore have been the product of purposeful intelligence. This was written by Sir Fred Hoyle. Knighted in 1972, he's an astronomer and a mathematician. My uncle had the opportunity to hear him lecture once to a very distinguished audience. He has expired now. He was the proponent of the steady-state theory, which the Big Bang replaced his theory. But the point is, this brilliant professor said that mathematically, evolution can't work. And it's absolutely true. The evolutionist says, but given enough time. The point is, there are books written on you can have more time than there has ever existed, and it still, theoretically, mathematically, cannot work. Creation or evolution? The issue is not the existence of God, rather it's the nature of God. And the real question is, did God make man, or did man make God? Charles Darwin was educated as a Cambridge theologian. And in 1831, he was an unpaid naturalist on the HMS Beagle. For 5 years, he went out and about to research and look at the world about him. Now, he had a mission and he had a purpose. His father, Robert, his grandfather, Erasmus, were both very wealthy physicians. They helped support this mission and purpose. His mission was to prove or to show that supernatural causation is unscientific. So supernatural causation, unscientific. His real purpose was to ungod the universe. Now, Darwin's two major suppositions, his two major premises. Number one, that we evolved from just the atoms themselves, and species upon species, as they change, turn into new species, and we have the diversification we see today. That was number one. Number two, he said the engine of this movement, of this change, is natural selection. Those were his two major points. Now, he supplied very little science to back that. His genius, his absolute genius, was that he supplied a materialistic theology for what looked like scientific evidence. He took a philosophy and turned it into what looked like support from the field of science. But there was no field of science supporting this. Do you know who the most angry people were that read his book, November 24, 1859? It was not the theologians. It was the geologists. They said there's no such thing as a geologic column. There we see no evidence of species change. As we move up the different layers and down, there is no change. We see no intermediates, nothing. And to this day, they have never found the missing leaks. That's plural. They have never found an intermediate form of between two species as they're changing into something.